Hi everyone. Today our topic is one of the most important part of English grammar, that is phrase. We have already learned about sentences. I have made a separate video on sentence and its different kinds. So without any further delay, let's start our today's topic. So what is a phrase? A phrase is a part of a sentence. It is a group of words. It has no subject, no finite verbs, and no object. If a phrase is used without the sentence, or if a phrase is used alone, it cannot express a complete sense or meaning. Let's see some examples of phrases. Here in the first example, this is a chain made of gold. In the second sentence, there is the man wants something to eat. So here the underlined parts are helping these sentences to enhance the sense. But if we use this part alone, that means without the sentence, if I cut this part, this underlined part do not or does not make a sense or complete sense. Similarly, in the second sentence, if the underlined part is used out of the sentence, if we cut the part, these underlined parts are unable to express any complete meaning. So these are some examples of phrases. So as a definition, we can say that a phrase is a group of words within a sentence that complements the overall structure of that particular sentence. A phrase lacks a subject or finite verb or an object. That's why a phrase cannot stand alone to give complete meaning. A phrase can act as a noun, an adjective, an adverb or a preposition. The function of a phrase depends upon its construction. So depending upon the function in a sentence, a phrase can be divided into various kinds. Let's see what are they. A phrase that acts like a noun in the sentence is called a noun phrase. Let's see some examples of noun phrase. I love reading comics. She bought a decent black dress. A woman in the window shouted for help. So here in the first sentence, I love reading comics. So the underlined part is answering the question, I love what? So the phrase reading comics here is working as an object. Since only a noun can be the object of a verb, this phrase is working here as a noun phrase. Again, similarly, in the second sentence, she bought a decent black dress. So if I ask she bought what? The answer is a decent black dress. So here the underlined part is answering the question what, or she bought what. That's why it is working here as an object and it is a noun phrase. But in the third sentence here, a woman in the window shouted for help. Here the underlined part is the subject of the verb shouted. I mean to say, who is shouting here? A woman in the window. So it is working here as a noun. That's why it is an example of a noun phrase. So you can see that a noun phrase can be an object of a verb or a subject of a verb. The next type of phrase is adjective phrase. A phrase that works like an adjective in a sentence is called an adjective phrase. So, like an adjective phrase modifies a noun or pronoun in a sentence. Let's see some examples of adjective phrase. In the first example, he is a man without fear. So here the underlined part is describing the noun man. So here it is working as an adjective or an adjective phrase because it modifies the noun. In the second example, she is wearing a crown made of gold. So here also the underlined part is modifying the noun crown. That's why it is also an example of an adjective phrase. In the third example, a lady with a long hair is walking in the garden. Can you identify the adjective phrase present in this sentence? Yes, with a long hair, because this part is describing how the lady is or what type of lady she is. A lady with a long hair. So this is also an example of an adjective phrase. An adjective phrase must be placed close to the nouns they describe. Otherwise, the sentences may look absurd. So next is adverbial phrase. A phrase that acts like an adverb in a sentence is called an adverbial phrase. Like an adverb, it modifies a verb or the other adverbs in the sentence. So let's have a look on some examples of adverbial phrase. In the first example, he drives a car in a very high speed. Here the underlined part is describing how does he drive a car or in what manner does he drive a car in a very high speed. That's why it is working here as an adverb of manner and it is an example of adverb phrase. In the second example, the kid sat beside her mother. Here the underlined part is describing where did the kid sit or where the kid sat. So this is an example of adverb of place and it is working here as an adverbial phrase. In the last example, here is he stayed at college for a few hours. Here the underlined part is describing or saying the time period that he stayed at the college. For how long did he stay at the college? For a few hours. So it is working as an adverb of time. That's why it is an example of adverbial phrase. Next is prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase starts with a preposition and connects nouns in a sentence. For example, in spite of his illness, he walks. Here, the underlined part is connecting the noun, illness. So that's why it is working here as preposition or prepositional phrase. Besides making a promise, he kept it. Here the underlined part is connecting the noun promise and it is working here as a prepositional phrase. In the third sentence, he dedicated his life in quest of knowledge. Here the underlined part that is in quest of connects the word knowledge. So it is also an example of a prepositional phrase. A verb phrase is the verbal part of a sentence or the verb part of a sentence. For example, you should not make friends with strangers. Here the underlined part is working as the main verb in the sentence. He has written a long letter. Here also the underlined part is working as a verb. Their happiness came to an end. Here the underlined part is also a verb. So these are some examples of verb phrases. Now I guess the concept of phrase is clear to you. If you like my video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button as well. If you have any queries or questions, don't hesitate to comment me in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. See you again.